What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the weekly recap number 8. Today it is June 11th, 2024. Mike and I are here. Jason, unfortunately, is out for the day, so we will be running down June 3rd through June 10th, covering yesterday's Raw as well. So lots of good, exciting things to talk about today. And as always, don't forget to join us on Reddit for all the hot wrestling discussion related to WWE, NXT, and a little bit of TNA. Thanks to our friends from Ascendant for the soundtrack Doomsday Machine that opens up and ends off every show that we do. So big shout outs to them. So going to be a big day. Lots to cover. How you been?
Yeah, lots to cover for sure. I've been good. How about yourself?
Yeah, we just got back in. So trying to get caught back up on everything. I figure probably we'll just go, I guess, just chronologically. We'll just go day by day.
Yeah, I'm cool with that. Sure.
Probably do the minor stuff first, just to get those out of the way before we break into like major storylines and all that. So Speed, of course. Still going on X, if you're not watching that, currently in the semifinals for the number one contender. Andrade defeated Carl Anderson, and I've already seen the spoiler about how this tournament pans out, unfortunately. So I'm not going to spoil that, but if you want to see it, the final's already been taped. You can go find that online. Main event, Dakota Kai defeated Ivy Nile, sad face. Bronson Reed defeated Tyler Bate. And then over on Level Up, we saw Tank Ledger defeating Tavian Heights, Adriana Rizzo over Ren Sinclair, and Chase U going over Javier Bernal and Drake Moreau. So any thoughts on any of these minor shows this week?
Just basically Wednesday we'll be seeing Ciampa versus Andrade, and the winner of that will go on to face Ricochet for the championship on Friday for those who haven't been spoiled yet. But other than that, I thought Level Up was pretty solid. 3 good matches. And it's Bronson Reed, I heard too on Main Event. I think he's never lost, and it's been over 3 years that he's been on Main Event, I believe, too, that they were saying during the broadcast.
It's a hell of a record.
Yeah.
He's a big dude. So guys like that shouldn't lose in general. I mean, you don't want to make him look weak. And I mean, Tyler Bates just kind of fodder to him. It's just kind of like feed me more at this point. Dakota Kai going over Ivy Nile is kind of a bummer. I'm a big mark for Ivy Nile and Zoe Stark. I don't know why, but those are like 2 of my favorite female performers. I would be fine if both of them held every women's championship on the roster, just because they're very non-traditional. And it's cool to see that. So
yeah, I think we're going to a Damage Control breakup from what we saw on Monday. So they're just trying to get Dakota up the ranks, getting her a couple wins under her belt before it happens, because we see the unhinged EO that's coming out back from the days in NXT.
Which is cool to see that. I mean, it's nice to see something different. So that's something that makes me happy to see that. So Andrade and Speed, obviously they have taped all the way through. So if you want to, you can go look that up and see who the Speed champion will be, or is. I won't spoil that, but it has been taped all the way out. So if you're curious and don't want to wait for Speed, you can go and watch those, and you can see, who's going to be the champion after this one. We'll probably talk about that here in just a little bit.
Yeah, you might be able to put the pieces of the puzzles together.
I mean, at this point, come on, you kind of can.
Yeah.
So I guess we'll just kick it off with Raw. When I was putting this together, I forgot there were that many matches on there. And it's funny because last week when we did the show, I was talking about how NXT frequently has more matches and more backstage segments and stuff like that. And Raw and SmackDown have been kind of weak. And then right after that, this Raw has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 matches and like a ton of backstage segments. So that was really cool to see. And some good matches too. I mean, it was a good show.
Yeah, Raw's the best thing smoking right now, if you ask me. It's like, don't get me wrong, NXT has been very consistent and very good, but Raw's the one that I've been looking forward to each week.
Yeah, I mean, and I hate to say it, but I was, to talk about some of the backstage stuff, I was not super high on Liv becoming the new women's champion, but I really like what they're doing with her.
Oh, well, definitely, because she's just holding down that title for when Rhea gets back, and they'll have a match. Probably Dom will be involved in it somehow. They'll probably have Rhea regain the world championship. I'm not going to go so far as to saying yes, but we'll see what happens with it. I love what they're doing with it though, because instead of just having her have a generic title run, it's one of the best storylines going right now. Probably second to Chad, Gable, and Otis.
Yeah. So yeah, speaking of, to run the card down from Monday, June 3rd, Raw was in Hershey. Ludwig Kaiser defeated Sheamus. Finn Balor defeated Dragon Lee. Braun Breaker defeated Ricochet. Kiana James, nice to see in action on the main show, defeated Natalya. Braun Strowman defeated Carlito. The women's tag team champions, Bianca and Jade, defeated Shayna and Zoe via disqualification, of course. AOP defeated The New Day. And Damian Priest defeated Rey Mysterio. So top to bottom, some pretty good matches there.
Yep. What do you think about this too? So Adam Pearce wasn't in the building last night. Do we think Kiana James was running the show?
I mean, I think that's where they're going to. I mean, they wouldn't be doing those backstage segments without it going somewhere. And she's kind of alluded to wanting to do that. Another thing on that subject I was curious about was to see if not Shayna, mind fart, Sonya Deville, if she's going to be in the running for some kind of authority position, because I liked when she did it before too.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing myself, because she's talking to the women's locker room in the back, which means she could just run the division, be the manager of just per se the women's division. But one thing that I think they're hitting on too with this Kiana James thing, we might have Braun Breaker play into it too with the way he's acting out with Adam Pearce, that he could be going behind Pierce's back to have her get the dirty work done for him and something like that.
Would not mind that one bit. I like Braun Breaker's presence. That match with Ricochet was actually pretty good. It wasn't a squash. I was very surprised with that one.
Yeah, I think before the news came out, we were originally going to get a triple threat between Dragunov, Ricochet, and Braun Breaker, but now I don't. Anything's possible, they said, but I don't see it happening.
Yeah, I mean anything at this point. Let's see what else we had. I like Carlito. I like what's going on with him. When he came back, I can't say I was like the hugest fan of him before. And to me, when I heard he was coming back, it seemed kind of like it was going to be one of those one-off legend deals where someone comes back for a bit and they kind of bop around and they leave. But he's actually like having matches, like good matches, and actually being put into storylines, which I think is pretty cool. I mean, I like it. I like that they're actually doing something with him beyond him just showing up, eating an apple and interfering with a match and leaving. Like, they're actually doing something with this guy, which I think is very cool.
Phenomenal line for last night too, what he said. That's cool.
Yeah, well, there's some interesting notes on Raw whenever we pass over to that one. So moving from Raw to NXT on Tuesday, June 4th, another top-notch show. Jordan Grace defeating Stevie Turner, which I figured was going to happen. Jasmine Nix going over Thea Hale. NXT Heritage Cup Championship. Tony D'Angelo defeated Damon Kemp at round 4 to retain the title. Natalya, for some reason, defeated Izzy Dame. I wish I knew what they were doing with her. And then Michin, Sol Ruka, and Jada Parker defeated Lash Legend, Fallon Henley, and Kalani Jordan. Another cool match. NXT just cooking right now.
Yeah, very interesting pairing on that 6-woman tag match, because you were mixing up heels and faces, people that had animosity towards each other.
Yeah,
thought it was a nice way to shake it up a little bit.
Yeah, I like that. The Heritage Cup, cool that it's doing something now. I really like Tony D holding it though. I mean, I really feel like I've been maybe misleading in the past, because anytime I talk about the family, I'm like, if they come up to the main roster, it's going to be like a fart in the wind. But like, love Tony D and the family on NXT. I think that's the perfect spot for them, and I like what they're doing with that Heritage Cup. I think it's really cool.
It's funny, the two, Charlie Dempsey, he's having a little bit of a identity issue right now. I think he thinks he's in Peaky Blinders or something like that.
Yeah. And, like we said before, I mean, NXT consistently, week after week, just incredible booking. I mean, Sean is doing a great job with it. I could see them pulling him up at some point to like run main roster shows. Like, I don't see why they wouldn't do that. I mean, He's doing really good in NXT. I think honestly, what would be really cool would be The Rock's kid. You know, she's doing pretty good on screen. Like if she could learn the biz a little bit, and then they give her the book, and then Sean comes up and perhaps runs SmackDown or one of the main roster shows. I mean, with what he's doing in NXT, I'd love to see him running things on the main roster. And it's funny though, because it goes back to this meme I saw. When DX was on TV, they were kind of like rebellious of authority, and now they're the authority.
Yeah, the authority. Yeah. Yeah, because one thing is Friday nights have been a little bland recently, and there's a lot of Bruce Pritchard trademark stamps I've been noticing over there. So if we could have Triple H run Mondays and Sean run Fridays, it might be a little bit better. Because I'm not saying that Bruce has got control over there, but it's just there's been some very noticeable things going on, if you ask me.
I mean, yeah, it's I think back to like 2016. 28 through 2018 SmackDown. I mean, that was like the show. But lately, like you said, I mean, Raw has been the one to watch. I mean, SmackDown at this point, you can honestly just DVR it because a lot of it's cookie cutter, like not a lot of really exciting stuff going on. Really, the only thing I follow there is like when Cody pops up, and what's going on with AJ, like legit, like the only storylines that I have any interest in. Even the Bloodline story is just like, I don't know, just boring at this point.
It's at a standstill. They haven't forwarded the story at all, and I understand why they're doing it, because they want the big events to happen at SummerSlam and WrestleMania. I get it, but to keep people's interest, you got to keep it going, because there's been multiple times through this whole Bloodline thing that people have gotten stale on it, but then as soon as they see something good, they're right back in it. So it's just a waiting game, I think, too. And on that, we can I take it you've heard it too, that Akuleo's gonna probably sign with WWE after he's done in New Japan.
Yep. That excites me. There's a lot of New Japan talent that I'd love to cross over. And I think, with Triple H now, I think indie talent coming in, I think it would be handled a lot better than in the past, whether it's New Japan or like the indies. I think talent coming in from there, I think would have a better shake. Like, when Nakamura came in, Vince obviously had no clue what to do with the guy. But if Nakamura came in now with Triple H running things, I think it'd be a different situation. So I'm excited about it. I think it's pretty cool.
It's funny you mention him. He's just like Ricochet in the thing where he was coming up so hot out of NXT, and that's came and gone now to where you can't really prop him up unless they went to build their character in another brand and then came back like Cody. Because people got to remember, Cody has almost 900 losses in his WWE career. So if he didn't leave the company and come back, he would not be anywhere close to where he is today.
No, I mean, yeah, it's honestly the way. I mean, without that, it wouldn't have gone over as well. But yeah, back to what you're saying about Hikuleo, where do we, I mean, it'd be interesting to ride into the Bloodline storyline. But I'm obviously, for those who don't know, he's Tama Tonga's brother, I think, if I remember right.
I think he's either, I think he might be Tonga Loa's brother too. I forget which one it is.
He is Tama Tonga's younger brother. Yeah. Okay. So obviously bringing him into Bloodline Wolfpack and not Bloodline Hollywood. So
one thing I've been thinking of is this is definitely going to lead to something to do with War Games, and it's just a matter if The Rock is on Solo's side and against Roman, or him and Roman are on the same page before then. So I've been thinking, on one side we have Solo, Akuleo, Tama Tonga, Tonga Loa, and then you could even put The Rock over there. There's your 5 men over there. On the other side, we're going to have Roman, Jacob Fatu, Jimmy, and Jay. I think you could see someone else come in. I don't know who. I don't know if they do Jay either, because he's a main eventer, but I think we'll see Sami Zayn over there at some point too.
Yeah. I mean, you have to complete the whole story and to bring it full circle. I mean, but I don't know, because if Roman's on that side, Sammy's kind of got that bad blood with Roman. So I mean, like, I don't know.
Yeah, but Sammy seems to be like a very forgiving guy, especially the role he's playing right now with Otis. How many times Otis has done him wrong, he's still giving him chances every week. So he could bridge the one into the other, I think, and get away with it.
Well, to segue from that actually into the Bloodline topic, over on SmackDown on Friday, June 7th, from Toledo, Bianca and Jade defeated Candice and Indy. Grayson Waller defeated Johnny Gargano. LA Knight defeated Carmelo Hayes. And Kevin Owens and the Street Profits defeated Bloodline Wolfpack, Solo, Tama, and Tonga Loa via disqualification. Again, we just to do a quick comparison to show this. Again, Raw is a 3-hour show, and SmackDown's a 2-hour show. But I mean, SmackDown just needs to get that match count up.
And then another thing is, I think SmackDown has to go to 3 hours because the thing is, you got a deep roster over there. It's not too top heavy. Don't get me wrong, but it will be after certain guys come back. You make it a 3-hour show, and you use more of the roster and feature them in more storylines. It's gonna make it a better show.
And I would be against that. I mean, you asked me like a year ago, I was saying Raw needs to be a 2-hour show because it would just drag on and go nowhere. But now with better writing, I don't mind Raw being a 3-hour show. I wouldn't mind NXT being a 3-hour show. Yep. SmackDown could be a 3-hour show. Like, there's so much better written now, and the roster is so deep that you could easily do that.
Like, where's Vinci? Where's Nakamura? We haven't seen, those are just two guys. Blair Davenport, since she's got called up, we haven't seen any of those people. And I love how people complain about Raw being a 3-hour show, but yet the issue is we don't have enough TV time to feature everyone. So I'm on board for making SmackDown 3 hours and Raw 3 hours. I know they got to cater to Fox with that contract still for certain things, but as soon as that's up, write it in the new deal where SmackDown's going to USA. You already got 3 hours over there.
You already got the block, obviously, and it remains to be seen what's on what night. But yeah, if Raw is moving to streaming, WWE's presence on network TV is going to be very minimal. So if that's the only show people who watch network TV, and believe me, there's a lot of people out there who don't do streaming, they only do network TV. You want to maximize your time. That maximizes your ad revenue, so it makes sense.
Yeah, well, and as I was talking earlier, to clarify with people, if they didn't know what I meant by the Bruce Pritchard stamp, is we had a opening segment, which results in a 6-man tag match at the end. I just wanted to clarify while we were on SmackDown. That's a trademark of his.
Yep. Yeah, him or it didn't end. The DQ wasn't by the Undertaker, so you can tell it wasn't too long.
Yep, for sure.
So not a bad show again, but I mean, I don't know. It's just kind of getting to be it's okay, but it's not great like it used to be. So it's still watchable, but it's not one you have to watch live, which is a bummer because that's how it always was.
Yeah, I'm curious to see where they go with this Wall of Theory thing too, because I don't see them breaking up, but the way they're putting the animosity between the two of them, I'm very confused there. But that was a great match too between Johnny and Grace, and that was one of the better matches of the night, I thought.
I like that they're getting TV time. I mean, having Johnny Gargano on TV, pretty good stuff. LA Knight and Carmelo Hayes, I like that little feud they got going on.
Yep.
After the flub on the mic. It's pretty funny.
Yeah, I'm sure that'll go to a LA Knight Logan match at SummerSlam. I can't see them doing it before then. But going back to the DIY A-Town Down Under thing, because we saw with DIY when they went off Raw, there was a little animosity between Ciampa and Gargano, and nothing came of it.
Yep. And I hope they're not trying to redo that feud this soon. At least let them get a tag team championship run before you try to rerun that feud back. It was a great feud. Don't get me wrong. Lightning in a bottle. I don't know if they can recapture that magic, but a lot of people on the main roster aren't too into them yet. So they really need to build them up a little bit before they do a feud. And if they do it, great, because those two are magic in the ring together.
One thing I will commend them on, though, is good call making the Jade Candice LeRae match, Jade and Indy Hartwell match into a tag team match, because the two of them are both very, very green in the ring. So that might have not been the best showing. It definitely helped to bring Bianca into it without a doubt.
Yeah, I mean, for a lot of people who don't know, people who didn't watch AEW, Jade is very new. This isn't a knock on her personally, but she came in with just having to learn on the go, and she didn't have a ton of matches. From a WWE perspective, where performers are performing week in and week out, day after day after day, live shows, house shows, TV shows, all that. She didn't work that much in AEW. I'm not knocking her talent. She's very talented, but she's still growing. She's still green. She's good, but she still has to grow some.
Because they have those tag championships on them to protect Jade herself, but I think it would better the belts if they lose them this weekend to either team, because they're going to bounce between NXT and the main shows, and NXT is a much stronger women's roster that you can use with tag teams. I think it would help the belts, but I think they're going to care more about protecting Jade than actually upping the prestige of the championships.
Yeah. I don't know if we could work this out this week, but what would be cool would be to do like I don't know, maybe if it's not too late Friday night after SmackDown, it'd be cool to do like an NXT recap, a SmackDown recap, and then a Clash preview. That would be cool.
Yeah.
We'll have to see if we can pencil that in.
Yeah, we'll definitely figure something out.
So the main thing, kind of we wanted to shoot through a lot of the shows and stuff because the main thing was Battleground. I will run down the recap real quick and then kind of talk about some of what I've heard. So Saturday, June 9th at the UFC Arena, Trick Williams retained against Ethan Page. Roxanne Perez retained the Women's Championship against Jordan Grace. Obafemi retained his against Wesley and Joe Coffey. Lola Vice defeated Shayna Baszler in the NXT Underground match. Nathan Frazier and Axiom retained against the Good Brothers, and the North American Championship ladder match. The result that not a lot of people expected: Kalani Jordan defeating Sol Ruka, Lash Legend, Fallon Henley, Jada Parker, and Mitchin. So I've seen some people saying that they weren't the biggest fan of this pay-per-view or that they didn't enjoy it. I personally thought it was a really well done event. I liked it. I think it was good. I think it was surprising in some aspects, not so surprising in others. But I mean, that's kind of what you look for in a pay-per-view.
I think the big problem was the layout that they had at the Apex. They did not give them enough room around the ring, and they could have too. Because if you looked on the side that the camera shoots on, there's plenty of room to back that wall up. And I think it was a very poor decision to do a ladder match in that confined area. I don't think they probably realized it until the day of. I thought the booking was fine. I thought the event was fine, but I just think it was very tough. That looks like more of a house show environment to me than a PLE.
So for me, the main complaint I heard about, out of all these, Trick Williams, we knew he wasn't going to lose that quick. Ethan Page is brand new. We knew Jordan Grace wasn't going to take the NXT championship back to TNA. Obafemi was surprising because I thought Wes Lee might have won that one. Lola Vice, not surprising. I thought the Good Brothers were actually going to win, surprisingly, because they've been kind of pushing them a little bit lately. But the women's ladder match, that was the one person I did not expect to win it if I had to rank them. I was seeing Fallon Henley or Jada Parker coming out with it. I did not see that outcome.
Yeah, I know I originally said Sol Ruka, but I thought before I changed. I thought they were going to go with Fallon Henley, to be honest. But I could have seen Lash Legend winning it too. But I definitely didn't see that one coming at all.
No, that was surprising. Cool to do something different. It's a nice swerve, but and then we had some interesting appearances at the show.
Yep, Ash by Elegance.
For those who don't remember, that's just so weird because it's like get released, go to TNA, reinvent yourself, new name, show back up on WWE. Well, she was in NXT before she left, and then came back. That was pretty surprising. And Gail Kim.
Yep. Yeah, one thing that I think that they did this for, I don't know which way this is going to go, but Jordan Grace has an open challenge at Against All Odds pending. I hope her injury is okay with the earring getting ripped out. That looked like that was extremely painful. But I could see Tatum Paxley going over to challenge her at Against All Odds. It could be Ash, or maybe even Roxanne Perez shows up for that, because they left it wide open for this Friday.
I know, and and there were chants for Joe Hendry. That was pretty cool.
You could have just been in the crowd clapping.
I know, that would have been. I honestly expected it. Moose wants to come over, so there's a lot that could happen there. So the open challenge, definitely, I would expect someone from NXT. I'm pretty sure that's a given.
Yeah, well, we're on TNA. I want to point out something too. At the end of the 20th anniversary Impact on Thursday, they did a thing with Matt Hardy where the screen got fuzzy, just like the Uncle Howdy stuff, and he said, "I want you to come meet my family," and it was actually his family.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I like how they're teasing it.
Is Against All Odds the same night as Clash? Well, Clash is during the day.
No, it's on Friday night.
Okay, so we can do Against All. Okay, so whenever we recap Clash, if there's any crossover, we can recap some of Against All Odds too. Just it's related to anybody that comes over from there. So that would be interesting. Okay, I would expect someone from NXT to do that. I mean, Roxanne would probably be like the no-brainer, but I don't know. It could be anybody.
Yeah, no, I thought that was the match of the night, though, if you ask me. Roxanne, Jordan Grace by far.
I don't know. I saw her post on I don't know, it was Twitter or wherever it was, but after the earring, and she had the close up of the ear, and I was like, dang.
It looked bad in the ring. I was like, oh.
That's, anytime I see a wrestler out there in piercings, it makes you think like eventually something bad's gonna happen. That's the something bad. I mean, that was it.
Yeah.
It's no worse than, Seth Rollins putting out Rey Mysterio's eye, but
Yep. That one's less or more avoidable.
Yeah. You can keep an eye pretty easily. So where we go from here, Jason's not here, but I know he was pretty high on Ethan Page for the match. I was as well. For those who aren't familiar with him, I mean, how's your first introduction to Ethan Page? I mean, incredibly talented guy. Really looking forward to see where he goes.
Yeah, I like that they waited till then to debut the entrance music too. I thought that was a nice little touch they put on, but I thought it was a good match overall for him just coming over, not being with them for more than 2 weeks really on the fly. They did some pretty good stuff with it.
And of course we had Sexy Red throughout the show. I saw a lot of people, I guess, who weren't too familiar with that, but some thought it was great. They enjoyed the presence. Some were not the biggest fans of it, but I mean, it's crossover appeal, so that's what it's there for.
Yeah, I thought they could have used her more, especially with the day before. You saw what happened, right?
Yeah.
It could have. I was going to say she was getting up her whole WWE on, picking up the pole, trying to swing it at people. Like we could have done something with that just for fun. Like it's not like you took her out of the guest host position because it could have built on it a little bit.
I expect to see her in a match at some point. Like I don't see why they wouldn't do it.
Definitely.
I mean, and it wouldn't be too hard. I mean, she could go in there and street fight or something, but I mean, you can give someone a crash course in wrestling, rehearse a few matches, and they'd be good to go.
Yeah, she just got to get her agility up a little bit. I think she looks a little too stiff from what I've seen.
Yeah. So, what do we think with Trick Williams? We think that feud's going to continue with Ethan Page, or where do we go from here?
So I'm curious to see if they do anything with Noam Dar back, how they were hitting on it before. But I could definitely see it continuing because look at the promo that he cut on last Tuesday night. Phenomenal. Just it's going to be good TV if it's Trick and Ethan without a doubt. But I'm curious to see what they do with Noam Dar also. Maybe we could even see a triple threat coming up at Heatwave because that's only a month away. It's not long.
With Roxanne Perez, I definitely could see a Tatum feud coming up, which is what I'm hoping for.
Yeah, she needs a push because they had some good stuff going there with her and Lyra, and then after Lyra got called up, that got deaded pretty quick. So,
and then they wrote her out of the. I mean, they didn't have her in the ladder match. She was my number one pick for that. So, I mean, if they're not going to use her for that, I mean, put her against Roxanne. There's some good heat there, and I think that would be pretty cool to see them feud. And I think she'd be a good champ. And Roxanne is main roster ready, in my opinion.
Oh, without a doubt.
I'm surprised she didn't get drafted. So,
yeah, I thought she was definitely going to get drafted after the Raw after Mania. She had a match.
Yeah,
because Ilya had a match and he got called up right after that.
And that's usually foreshadowing that shows you what's going to happen. So, I was like almost going to bank on it, but I guess not.
Yeah,
they didn't want to lock the title.
Yeah.
So we had a good Raw last night. Moving into the next show, they were in Toledo. Io Sky going over Lyra Valkyrie, the LWO, and Braun Strowman defeating the Judgment Day and Carlito. Sami Zayn defeating Otis. Shayna Baszler and Zoe Stark defeating the Unholy Alliance. Glad to see them on TV. Braun Breaker defeated Dragunov. The Awesome Truth defeated AOP to retain, and a match with an interesting stipulation at the end. If McIntyre wins, the Judgment Day will be barred from the WHC match at Clash at the Castle. Drew McIntyre defeated Finn Balor. So another good Raw.
Yep.
I mean, yeah. I still don't think the Judgment Day is not going to show up at the match. I mean, come on.
Well, they might not show up, but CM Punk might.
I mean, that's pretty much the inevitable ending at this point. Again, they put that thing out a while back. The SmackDown that said that Priest was going to be there as the champion. So, I'm still wary of that, about whether or not Drew's going to win. But I mean, he didn't really get his moment. He got the championship during the COVID era. He didn't get his crowd. He won the championship at Mania, had it for a few seconds, and then, as many remember, he just renewed his contract. So they wouldn't have renewed his contract without some long-term storytelling. So I'm still thinking he wins it this weekend. I don't know how, but I still think it's going to happen.
I think because Punk said on a promo about a month ago that he would come across the world to Clash at the Castle if he had to. I think that's going to start that feud, and we'll get that match at SummerSlam. And I think they might hold off on Drew getting that championship till WrestleMania, so he has his WrestleMania moment, and we can play out this Punk and Drew saga. But it would not surprise me at all if they put the belt on him, especially after what happened at the last Clash at the Castle.
And Punk and Punk, for example, he's one of those at this point in his career does not need a title to be relevant, does not need to be in a title feud to be relevant. There are a few talents out there who are at that point. Drew, Punk, Roman Reigns, Daniel Bryan. I mean, you could name off a lot of people who have really just kind of earned their legacy so that they can literally do whatever they want now, and they don't need a title in the picture to make a good feud or a good match or a good moment.
Yeah. I could see Sheamus fighting off Punk to help Drew win too after the little encounter they had last night. Maybe even we have someone out of the crowd too, like I believe it was Tyson Fury last time who punched out Austin Theory when he tried to cash in. So, and we just saw over in I don't remember the comedian's name, but at King and Queen of the Ring when he pulled whoever it was out of the ring to help Cody retain.
Yep. So, it's a pretty interesting, a lot of possibilities there. And also, of course, some more interesting stuff going on with Liv and Dom.
I think Finn Balor went over to a hotel room last night.
Yeah, because he got the key.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you didn't watch, she left. She offered her hotel room key to Dom, which Finn is in possession of. So, oh man, I don't know where that's gonna go.
Yeah, I would think it would be funny if they did something with John Cena, seeing he was in blockers. They could have had him take the key or something like that. But I think one thing that I think that's going to happen is I think Liv and Finn are going to actually end up being the couple out of it, and Dom's just going to be left out in the dust between Rhea and her, and he's not going to have either one of them on his side because the crowd will love that with the heel heat he gets.
When do we think the payoff is going to be with Otis? Do you think they're gonna give us a payoff somehow this weekend?
I honestly think they might delay it, to be honest with you, because it's reported that Chad Gables came to an agreement on the contract. It's not confirmed yet, but there have been some rumors that they have an agreement, but they haven't said how long or anything. I honestly think Otis could help him win the championship, and then Otis might cost him the championship down the road.
Also, Dragunov and Braun Breaker, for those who may not be familiar, they had a good rivalry in NXT. So them having a match is not super random. If you didn't watch NXT, they had a pretty good rivalry and had some really good matches. And I tell people this all the time, that they're like, "Oh, this Braun Breaker guy just does these squash matches." I mean, watch his NXT stuff. Dude's like Frankensteinering, and super talented guy. So the match, Breaker didn't bury Dragunov. Those two already had heat, so I don't consider it a burial or anything. But of course, we'll touch on this news. One of the things I wanted us to chat about was Ricochet, of course, attacked Breaker after the match. I don't want to do the spoiler. We'll have to find a way around it somehow, because it's hard to. I don't want to do spoilers or anything, but it's kind of hard to do. But So Ricochet contract obviously coming to a close. Rumors are that he's not going to be renewing. Again, you never know until it's time, but I don't know. I don't know. If he goes anywhere, like we talked about this before, I could see him going to TNA. I mean, that's really because if he goes to AEW, I mean, I hate to say it, I think he's going to get lost in the shuffle there, but I could see him really doing it over in TNA, rebuilding himself and then coming back or doing crossovers. I mean, I think that's the best home for him if he does leave.
Yeah, if he goes to TNA, I think he's almost fourth in line for the belt because Matt Hardy's going to touch it at some point. Nick Nemeth, Dolph Ziggler, he's going to touch it at some point. And then Ricochet. He's not going to go over to AEW and win a world championship. He's going to be fighting for the Continental Championship, the International Championship. And God forbid he gets the Matt Sydal, Evan Bourne, for those of you that don't watch AEW. He gets his treatment. His record's like 0-15 this year. He's turned into a high-flying job at which he's a phenomenal talent, and they just don't use him over there. And look at the AEW creative department. Their shows are almost unwatchable, but their pay-per-views are good because there is no effort that goes into storytelling. It's just random booking of matches. So if you're looking for great matches, it's great for you to watch, but it's going to get old real quick for you.
I know. I had that conversation with my buddy because we're going to an AEW show next month, and he's more of an AEW guy, and I'm more of a WWE guy. And he's like, "Well, I like this because it's just I like the matches." And I'm like, I watch WWE because I like the storytelling and stuff like that, and I like the matches. Now, WWE hasn't been a big slouch in the match department, but yeah, I mean that's kind of what they're known for. You know, no knock for it because the rising tide lifts all boats, and AEW coming around has made WWE better. But I mean, yeah, that's primarily what the show is mostly pointless matches without storytelling. Yeah.
Yeah, because he says he books it for the sickos, aka the diehard wrestling fans that just want to watch bell-to-bell action. So if you're into that, the AEW's your place. But if you're looking for storytelling, that ain't it. They got two stories, I think, of relevancy going on right now.
So, I mean, at the end, I don't know if it was just foreshadowing or not, but Samantha Irvin joining Ricochet as he's leaving and going to the hospital. I mean, I don't know if that's a send-off. I don't know. I could see her staying. I mean, whenever Mox left, what's her name? Mox's girl. Oh, I'm drawing a blank. She stayed for a while.
I'll look it up.
Oh, what's her name in WWE? Renee Paquette. But what was her name in WWE? Was it just Renee?
Oh, she's over in AEW doing the backstage, doing the working the desk and the interviews, right?
She was Renee Young in WWE. That's what it was. But she hung around for a minute after Dean Ambrose left and went to become Jon Moxley. So I don't know. Samantha Irvin's kind of like become kind of an iconic ring announcer. I mean, she's no like Michael Buffer or anything, but like of this generation, she's really good at what she does.
Yeah, I don't think she's going anywhere personally myself.
Or if he goes over to TNA, then yeah, it'll be fine. So Pat McAfee, though.
I think they just wanted to have him get a whirl at it. So they're like, hey, this will make it more realistic, and we'll have you go on and see how it works out. That's a one-off and done, I think. I don't think we're going to see that again.
No, that was so if you missed it, go back and rewatch it because I don't think Pat was born exactly to be a ring announcer.
Sure.
So all in all, a pretty good show. Really, I mean, the Judgment Day story I'm kind of bored with. The LWO stuff, you know, it's fine for what it is. But I mean, really, I'm loving what they're doing with Braun Breaker. I like the build. I think it's a slow burn, and I think it's well deserved. It's not just squashes like they did with Braun Strowman. I mean, the squashes got him over, but I like how Braun Breaker is kind of just presenting himself. And Goldberg was kind of like that back in the day. I mean, pretty much just, you know, he would get ticked off and stuff. So, I mean, it's kind of like the Goldberg treatment, but they're not doing like the stupid streak thing where the streak goes up after a week. Like he's had 10 matches since Saturday. And people don't remember that. But if you go back and look at the streak, those numbers don't add up.
Yeah, for real. But one thing with Braun Breaker, and I'm sure you saw this too, on Raw when it moves over to Netflix, that he's going to be a prime feature of the show. That they're really going to push him. I've heard reports of.
I read that, yeah, that they're
Yeah.
apparently like really high on him.
I think this is an awesome opportunity. So we have Gunther take the World Heavyweight Championship at SummerSlam, and then we could just think for a WrestleMania match, we could have Braun Breaker versus Gunther. That's a good match right there. Because the thing is think what we could do with the storyline too. We could bring the Steiner brothers in, just how like Randy Orton brought Cowboy Bob Orton in or something like that. They could play into a storyline somehow, and I think there's just so much they can do with them. I think it's a great decision if they do end up doing it.
Yeah, because for those who don't remember, Rick Steiner was on NXT, I think, whenever he won the champion. I've slept since then, but I remember Rick was there for something. So definitely could bring in the Steiners. And Scott was recently on a WWE Most Wanted Treasures episode, so which shows he's not like against WWE or anything. So pretty promising there. Just a real quick look, Clash at the Castle coming up here pretty soon. We may do a full preview this week, but just where we stand right now going into the week, we still have SmackDown to come up, but the storylines that are currently cemented in, Priest and McIntyre, Bailey and Piper for the women's championship. I wish it would have been Chelsea Green. Sammy versus Chad Gable, Cody versus AJ in an I Quit match. I mean, it's been a minute.
You mentioned it a few weeks ago. You said it would be a good time for one, and here we are. We have it.
I did. It's been a long time. There are two types of matches that I'm the biggest fans of, and neither one get the most play. I love Iron Man matches and I love I Quit matches. So those are going to be good. And then Bianca and Jade versus the Witches versus Shayna and Zoe. But again, Cody and AJ, I think, is going to tear the house down. I mean, will be the match of the night, no doubt.
Yeah, I think they might give the main event to Drew, seeing he's over there, but I agree without a doubt. I Quit matches are awesome. I know you said about Chelsea Green that you wish it was there. I think Chelsea might turn on Piper at Clash.
This is the time. That's time to do it.
Yeah, because I think they're both better off as single competitors. We don't need them as a tag team. And let's say that it eventually turns to be a triple threat, and then you could even have Chelsea or Piper take it off Bailey. But probably one, if not both of them, will be in the Money in the Bank ladder match. I assume. I
would predict it. Yeah, I mean it's undeniable. Do we think Sammy is going to drop? I mean,
it's tough telling, man. I could see it going either way, to be honest with you.
If Chad has a deal in place, I would bet that was the condition. I mean, if I were in his position, that would be my condition for a new contract. Like 100%. That'd be the first thing I write down. He wants that title, that particular title. So
I think there's more that you can do with Chad right now than Sammy, because Sammy doesn't have any big feuds with anyone per se. Because if with Chad, you could have Chad and the Creeds. You can have Otis and Tozawa in tag team matches versus the Creeds, or single match 1v1 of one of those four or two of those four guys every week, and you can fill up a good 3 weeks until Money in the Bank easily. The story writes itself.
I mean, Survivor Series is most likely going to be in November.
Friday after Thanksgiving, or no, I'm sorry, 2 days after Thanksgiving usually.
Okay, yeah, so you got about 5 months. If Sammy is going to be in the War Games match, you're going to probably get the title off of him and work him into that storyline. But they still have time. That's 5 months away. I mean, I feel like the Bloodline Civil War thing, if they're going to do it at War Games, I feel like that's a story that's going to need at least like 2 to 3 months of build. I mean, I don't know. You can't rush that one. I feel like if Roman is going to come back and work into that storyline, it's going to be something you have to do at SummerSlam, because I don't think you just have Roman come back on SmackDown. I mean, or Raw. It has to be a big storyline.
Yeah, I think Roman has to come back after Money in the Bank. I know he's not officially booked for a SmackDown until after SummerSlam, but really, when you think about it, doesn't make any sense for him to return at SummerSlam, because what match is Solo or the Bloodline going to be in? It's just, Roman pops out of nowhere, maybe even with Jacob Fatu. It doesn't add up to me, really.
And where is Jacob at this point? Like, he signed forever ago. He's not even on NXT. Like, what are they doing?
Yeah, it's a nice job to have. I'm sure he's working his ass off in the Performance Center, don't get me wrong, but it's nice to collect that paycheck.
He is going to impress people when he shows up. I mean, I guess I am kind of glad that they're bringing people in slowly, because for a minute there, it seemed like it was every few episodes there was like a new Bloodline member showing
Yep.
up. So I'm glad they've slowed down a little bit.
Yeah, because right now Paul Heyman is everything to do with that story at the current moment. Like we saw Solo doing the spear the other night, taunt Roman, but this could all just be leading us in the wrong direction. Where Roman's been doing this the whole time, and he everyone thinks he's going to come back as a face, and he gets even more heel heat for carrying out these acts in the bloodline.
Oh man,
because you could even.
I feel like if he tried to come back as a heel, like there's so many people that want him back at this point. I think it'd be like he could try to come back as a heel, but it would be unavoidable that he came back as a face.
Yeah, because Vince could never really get him over as like a true face, but that would be like a real step in the right direction for them. But I think storytelling wise, you could even do it so The Rock, seeing he runs WWE, he's not happy with what Roman's doing and wreaking havoc on his shows. I think that's another great direction that you could go with the story.
I think so. I mean, his return has to be well done. And I think the better way to do it is not going to be to like cement him into a story with Cody going back after the title again. I mean, I really think that Bloodline stuff is like the bread and butter of where he needs to be at for that story.
Yep. Sure. One thing I want to ask you too before we go off, what did you think about Tiffany Stratton and Nia Jax's interaction?
You know, I am very curious to see how that works. Yeah, that Tiffany and Nia and Michin segment. Tiffany's kind of been, I mean, I feel like they kind of wrote her off to get rid of some of that heat. And now I feel like they're kind of bringing her back in. She was on a podcast recently. She said, I had that quote saved because I thought we'd talk about it. She said, "I'm really happy for Nia. She's actually one of my good friends. And yeah, I think she deserves it all. And unfortunately, it wasn't my time." So I think they're going to, I don't know, there's something they could do there with it. And you know, it's unfortunate that she didn't win, but that social media stuff that popped up kind of at the wrong time. And I feel like, you know, we've said this before, but I feel like that was kind of the reason that she got wrote out of stuff. So I feel like that heat's kind of died down. They can bring her back in. And I mean, I don't know which direction they're going to push her. I mean, she's a fantastic heel, but I mean, they could give her a rivalry with Nia for a little bit. I mean, I'd be fine with that.
Another thing too is I could see them going in and wreaking havoc in that triple threat match this Saturday too, because even though Nia has the match at SummerSlam, you could put the tag team championships on them, have them move down to NXT in between the two of them, and still have Nia in that match, even if she does win a world championship. Because I've always said I don't want two belts on people, but that's different. Seeing it's a tag team and a singles championship, they're never going to be in the same match.
Yep. That's a different thing. Yep. I mean, and yeah, if if Nia becomes the world champion at SummerSlam, I mean, a feud with Tiffany would actually be pretty good. Because you know, she didn't really have a lot of rivalries, and she didn't really have a lot of heat on TV. So I mean, that's really, I mean, if they're going to build something, I think that's a good direction to go with it.
Yeah. I'm very curious though myself, because I thought that was very interesting pairing if they do end up going with it.
Yeah. I mean, a pairing as champions, you know, I could see it would be cool. I could see them working together, or I could see them feuding. But I mean, I'm hoping that they'll write her back in on TV at some point. I don't really, you know, the controversy, you know, it is what it is. And I'm trying not to weigh in too much on that. But I mean, you know, I feel like at some point they'll probably bring her back. You know, she was over as it was, you know, and the crowd was loving her. So it's very rare that you get call-ups that are that quickly embraced by the audience. And I think the way the audience embraced her that fast shows the potential that she has as talent. And, you know, people make stupid mistakes all the time, you know, especially with like social media. A lot of these people, you know, these NXT people, a lot of times they don't remember is that these are kids. Like a lot of them are really young people. You know, Tiffany Stratton, she's
24, 25, I believe.
25.
Yeah.
So she's someone who all of a sudden came into popularity and stuff. And, you know, her stock rose really quick. And, you know, a lot of times they just have to figure this stuff out. They have to make these mistakes and figure it out and move on. So my only hope is that this serves as a learning experience for her.
Yeah, they've had a few incidents on social media with Sheamus, and I saw rumors about this. I don't know if it's true, but a certain post that Rhea Ripley made. I don't know if you saw it at all, but yeah, I don't know if it's legitimate news at all. Don't quote me on it. I just saw. I didn't even bother to click on it, but
okay, interesting.
yeah.
I'll have to read into that. Yeah, and the Sheamus thing, which I totally forgot. See, the world moves so quick and we forget about things so fast. But yeah, Sheamus literally tweeted about Gunther and called him a Nazi.
Yeah, because I really hope that they just don't take that stuff seriously that they say on social media. Because I don't want to see people off TV because of one thing they said. Like it's just not worth it to me. Like just keep them on the TV. Yeah, you might get a little heat for a week, but people forget quick.
And that's the hard part now is that, it's in this era, it's a different time. In the 90s, we didn't have a lot of this. Most of our wrestling discussion was on like forums and stuff like that. Superstars rarely engaged with the public, but now they all have social media accounts. And a lot of times you have to figure out, like, some of them will use their real name. I think Xavier Woods has Austin Creed on his. I mean, some will use their real names, but you have to look at it as to whether or not they're in person or in their kayfabe, like how they're doing it. Some people on their social media are entirely in character. So you kind of have to look at the context when you look at the things that they're doing and saying and be like, well, is this in character or not? I mean, like Sheamus's thing, I could see that as an in character thing. That didn't really seem so much like a personal jab at Gunther. That seemed like something he was trying to do it in character. And then quickly we realized, like, maybe not the best thing to say, took it down and moved on. So I mean, some of it just seems like character work.
Yeah, I'm sure they're good friends. They've worked together a lot.
Yeah.
So I don't think there was anything taken personal by anyone involved in that, as there shouldn't be.
To go back to Raw on Monday, another note that I had, I like that Ludwig is getting some singles matches now, and he isn't just like the backup guy to Gunther anymore.
I think he's going to be in the Money in the Bank ladder match, it sounds like, too, at least in a qualifying match. So I think it'll be interesting to see him in that, because it could be him, Jay, and Sheamus. All three of them sound like they wanted to go into Money in the Bank. So that's three good choices for the male side from Raw, I think, without a doubt.
And Ludwig's super talented. I mean, you watch some of his NXT stuff and some of his earlier work, like indie stuff and whatnot, and he's really talented. He's great on the mic. He's super zesty. Like, the guy's got a lot of potential. Easy mid-card talent. Probably a good, he could hold the IC title at some point. I mean, Gunther held it. It'd be cool if Gunther got the world title and then he brought the IC title home to Imperium or something like that. Now that would be cool. Him and Chad Gable could have a good feud.
I think they're gonna push Braun Breaker towards that IC title too, regardless whether because Sammy wins or Chad Gable, because we saw when he was with Adam Pearce watching the video of Sammy's, like, I could easily beat that guy.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I'm really excited to see where Braun Breaker goes. I mean, he was one of my favorites in NXT because I was a big mark for the Steiner brothers back in the WCW era. I had one of the leather jackets. I was a big fan of them. Whenever he got signed, I was really excited about it. And he's, as young as he is, he's absolutely incredible. I mean, I can see why the Netflix execs would be high on him and want to, like, center him on their show, because obviously he's younger, brings in new people, but also a lot of old people remember watching his dad, like me. So I think his potential is limitless. Within the next, I would conservatively estimate 2 years, he'll have a world title. Like,
I think he has the potential to be Roman Reigns, if not better, without a doubt. And I've seen, this is an interesting take that I've seen. What do you think about this? I've heard maybe when AJ Styles loses to Cody and Braun Breaker with his feud with Adam Pearce, if they did a trade, I know that they say he's going to be featured on Raw, but I've seen some people saying that, and I found that a little bit interesting too, because I could definitely see it, but seeing the reports about how he's going to be used on Raw more sort of made me not think more that would happen.
Yeah, that would be interesting. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. That's what I'm really curious about, because I think this new TV deal is going to change a lot of things. I mean, I think that the way everything's approached is going to be different. I think people are going to shine differently on different shows. It's interesting that they did the draft when they did it. I wonder if they're going to do another one after the TV deals change. Probably not. I bet these rosters stay locked in.
When are they all moving over? Because I know NXT goes over in like October, November. Raw's in January.
Yeah.
When does SmackDown go over?
SmackDown is moving to USA in October, and then they remain there through January, I believe. And then in January, it's everything stays. But I think part of the deal was that SmackDown's going to go ahead and move to USA in October, if I remember right.
Okay. Yeah, because I'm very interested to see where they go with these. Because if we remember back in the day, SmackDown used to be on CW, so it's not like they haven't been on the CW before where NXT is going.
No, it's earlier than I thought. SmackDown moves to USA September 13th.
Oh, wow. That's awesome. Because the thing is, we can't have Roman Reigns be raw talent on Raw until that happens. So for all we know, we could move the whole bloodline over, but they gotta do something to ramp Friday nights up. They gotta move some people from Raw over or something. Because who's Cody gonna feud with after this?
I mean, like, there's no big heavy hitters on SmackDown that are going to carry the brand as the only WWE show on network television. There's not. Going down the roster right now on SmackDown, AJ Styles, Andrade, Bobby Lashley.
Yeah, Lashley's could be injured though, I believe.
Kevin Owens, LA Knight, Randy Orton. And that's
the money one right there is Randy Orton, but Randy's supposedly injured too, from what I've heard.
Yeah, so that's about it for your top tier. Everybody else is kind of just mid card, unless they choose to elevate somebody, which they could do with like a Carmelo Hayes or a Montez Ford, maybe.
Yeah, I know you threw out that a while ago, that Montez Ford Cody book, and I'd be a big fan of seeing that. I didn't even think about that until you mentioned it.
Because I've been thinking that for years, like not just splitting up the Street Profits, but I've felt like forever that Montez Ford was worthy of being pushed more than just a tag guy, because he's tremendous on the mic. His ring work is, better than probably 85% of the roster. Like, if you want to hitch your wagon to somebody, that's a guy that can do it. And also, kind of like Cody, him and Montez and Bianca, they do a lot of like the Make-A-Wish stuff. They're good with the behind the scenes stuff. So they do that other stuff that bookers like, outside of TV as well. So he's a guy that you could elevate, like, no doubt.
He can be a new Ricochet too. He's just as talented of a high flyer as Ricochet is too, if you ask me. Because the next guy in NXT we really see like that is Javon Evans, but he just came up from level up to being televised. So he's going to take at least a year down there, probably two, based off of all the talent that they've got on the main roster.
Imagine how good he is. Like,
he's only 19, I believe, too, or 20. He's young.
You also have Logan Paul on SmackDown, and
how many appearances are you going to get from him, though? That's the thing. He's got so many obligations that I don't think we're ever going to see him as a full-timer.
How long was his contract for?
I do not know, to be honest with you.
Okay, in April 10th, he re-signed with WWE, and it's said to be a multi-year deal, but that's all it says.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I'm curious how long his contract is for, because I don't know. I don't know what they'll do with him. $15 million over 3 years. Not an awful not awful. I still think at some point they'll put a title on him, though, a main title.
I was going to say MJF's supposedly, I've heard he's making a ton of money with the new deal he just signed, but I think it's somewhere around that.
Yeah, he is. He's now signed through 2027.
Yeah. That's a typical contract, though, in wrestling. 3 years is what we seem most people to have, unless you got a big lifetime deal for the most part.
MJF was signed for $60 million for 4 years. That's $15 million.
See, that's the thing. I didn't know if the 15 number was per year or per the whole contract. That's crazy.
Yeah, to compare it, Roman Reigns was at a $5 million annual contract.
The other thing is too is I don't see how AEW. I know the cons have unlimited money. How
Yeah.
long are they going to put up with losing money? I know he's the best guy on your roster, but look at the contracts you give out. How long is it going to take you to recoup this money? I don't see it being a profitable business going forward.
Yeah, I mean it's a lot. It'll be a lot like I predict. I don't. Are you watching the WCW documentary, the new one?
No, I'm about to start it.
Okay, it's really good. One of the things they say is a lot of the problem was the contracts and the money. You know, Ted Turner has pockets as deep as like, you know, the Marianas Trench, but like at some point, you don't want to keep dumping that money into the company.
Exactly. Yeah.
And you know, I don't know if it's probably Daddy Khan would be. I'm probably right. It's probably Daddy Khan that's footing a lot of this. But at some point, it's going to be like, okay, so we tried this thing. It's not making as much. You know, let's scale it back a little bit. So they're going to cut some shows or something like that. When they came out and within a few years, I mean, they were signing everyone under the sun. At some point, they're going to have massive like WWE style cuts, like from 2 years ago, where there's a list cut in a day, like because you can't afford to run a company at a loss. You just can't.
Yeah, I'm surprised New Japan still works with them too, because they've gutted them of so much talent over there too, and I just don't see it going forward in the future. Because every free agent that hits the market, we need to make them a big contract offer. And look at Collision. I believe Collision had like 130 or 120,000 views a week, not this past one, but the week before that. Like, you're not going to keep. I know they're in a TV rights year, just like WWE was. I don't see how TNT or TBS, Warner Brothers are gonna allow you to have that show going forward with that.
So I pulled up the numbers for 2023. AEW was estimated to generate $154 million in net revenue. That's a $100 million increase, or an increase from $100 million from 2022. But with that $154 million in net revenue for last year, they lost $34 million. So still operating at a loss, unfortunately. And a lot of that's got to be contracts. MJF is tremendous. I mean, he's worth money. Like, he's a guy you pay several million a year, but not 15 million a year.
Yeah, that's good for him, man. Like, as I said, I didn't know if it was 15 million for the whole contract or 15 million a year, but that's crazy. Good for him. Like, take advantage of.
If I was him, brother, grab that bag. Like, for real.
Without a doubt. I get the tattoo on my leg just like he did.
Yeah, bet on yourself. I guess before we wrap up, NXT is about to fire up here pretty soon. We talked about this a little bit earlier. Tonight on NXT is kind of like an AEW reunion. You got Pillman Jr., you got Sean Spears, Cody's coming back over. So an interesting face-off. Is this? I mean, NXT. I mean, tonight may be the night that they thoroughly surpass Dynamite in their ratings, which would hurt, because NXT is very much a B show.
They've been close in the past weeks, but another thing too is the Celtics and Mavs play tomorrow night. So I think that it could be, don't get me wrong, Cody could just be coming down, making an announcement, but like he did for the Dusty Cup a few months back. But I'm curious to see what happens. And I want to ask you too, what do you think about the Singaporean Kane match between Lexus and Dante Chen? Like, could we have just done a no disqualification match? Why do we have to make it exclusively to kendo sticks and call them Singaporean Canes?
I don't know. I don't even care about this feud at all. I mean, of all the things I care about in my life, that's probably the thing I care the least about.
Yeah.
Their feud is about like watching wet paint dry. I mean, it's just, I don't care. I mean, they're making Lexus King look just so
burying him.
I don't know if Vince had some beef with Pillman or something going way back, or Triple H did or something, or maybe Shawn did. I don't know. But like, at this point, he just needs to go away and reinvent himself. I mean, I don't know how to come back from all this. He's getting beat by this rookie kid week after week. And if WWE wants to run a program in Singapore, fine. But like,
there's other ways to prop him up.
Not at this expense. They could have gave him the North American Championship. I mean, something. It's the same thing they would do with Mansoor. Just let him have a bunch of wins going into the pay-per-view in Saudi. But like, good Lord, Pillman, like, it's got to suck to be you at this point.
One thing too, a big thing that I forgot to mention before we go off too, is we got the countdown now too off of the QR code last night.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm curious to see. I think we might see something this Saturday, which leads us, but maybe the debut match or something's next Monday, because it's just very weird to me that they wouldn't debut him at a PLE.
I know, that's kind of interesting. Well, where is Raw next week? Let's see.
Topeka, maybe?
American Bank Center. Where is that? I'm pulling it up on Ticketmaster. Which is American Bank Center.
It's Topeka, maybe? I forgot.
Let's see. Corpus Christi, Texas.
Corpus Christi, okay.
Yeah.
That's a pretty that's a pretty big
good market. Yeah, it's a good market. Yeah, I don't understand that. But I mean, it's good that there's something leading up to. Like, it's time.
Yeah.
It's time. Yeah. It's been going long enough.
Yeah.
I mean, everything's been leading up to this. It's just, you could have run this for a month. It's been going on. I don't even remember when it started. Like, it's time.
It was the Raw After Mania, I believe. That wasn't the first QR code, but the first time we saw the glitches happen.
Yeah, so it's time to go ahead and do it. I mean, just show something on TV and go from there. You don't have to debut everybody on Monday. I mean, honestly, it'd be good if you didn't, but at least show them on TV or show some of the faction on TV.
Mm-hmm.
You need a physical appearance at this point, because all the off-screen stuff, it's done. You need something physical so people can say, okay, now what are they going to do? Like Sting in the rafters in WCW, give someone physical to look at.
Yep, they need. I think the staggered release was the best thing, because if you look at the QR codes, we had the French picture. You could have done one there. You could have done one at King of the Ring. You could have done one at Clash of the Castle, and then the big reveal at Money in the Bank, or even just done one, then done the big reveal at SummerSlam. I'm just curious to see what they do after this, because they could still do it right. Don't get me wrong, but it's getting tough.
And that's another thing that we haven't touched on yet. Like we were saying, the rosters are about to change, and one on network, one on streaming. I mean, this faction could end up on SmackDown and be the thing that makes SmackDown interesting on network TV.
They need it. That's why why would you debut them on Raw? Because they need something over there.
Yeah, Raw's good. They got people, they're covered. They don't need anything else. Just let them be. I mean, the only reason I can think of Raw is because of Jay and the Fireflies.
Yep. I could definitely see that, but it sounds like he's going into the Money in the Bank ladder match. So if we get any feud there, we're not going to see any match, I don't think, at Money in the Bank, unless they end up costing him a qualifying match, maybe.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. I mean, that's the only thing I can think of. So, I mean, it's time. Let's make it happen. So, at least there's a date so that we can look forward to something happening. Yeah. So, yeah.
I thought one other thing that I thought they did good on Raw too was not to bury Dragunov by having him win over Braun Breaker. I mean, by having Braun Breaker win over him. They did a good job of making it a great match where he didn't look weaker, because you could have easily buried one of those two young talents that way by having one destroy the other.
And, like we say all the time, a lot of people don't watch NXT, so they're not familiar that those two that Dragunov and Breaker had some good matches in NXT. So that could have buried him. I mean, that would have been the end of it. So I'm glad that was handled better.
And they both had title runs, too, of the NXT Championship within the past year and a half.
Yep, so they both have their laurels, so we don't have to worry about them looking weak at any point. So I'm interested to see where it's going to go. Lots of good storylines in place right now. We got NXT tonight, SmackDown on Friday, and Clash on Saturday. And Against All Odds on Friday. Usually not a WWE thing, but I'm pretty sure someone's going to be on there. So, yeah, it's going to be a fun week.
Oh yeah, because we go from nothing happening the past 2 weeks to everything happening in a matter of a second, pretty much.
That's what we were saying. I don't remember it was last week or the week before, but it was kind of like, well, there's not much going on right now.
Yeah, the dog days of wrestling.
Yeah, we were in those days, but now we're coming into Clash, Money, and SummerSlam. So the next few months, I think, are going to be hot. I'm pretty stoked about it.
Yep, and then we got Heatwave the night after Money in the Bank too. That's a nice booking too. We got back-to-back PLEs.
I like when they do that. I think that's cool. I don't see NXT should do that with everything. There should be 12 NXT pay-per-views a year.
Yep, I agree 100%.
Because they own enough names between what WWE doesn't use anymore and all the WCW names that they own. Because they could be doing, Great American Bash, Halloween Havoc, Bash at the Beach, and then bring back some other ones like No Mercy and Roadblock and any other random names you want to throw in there that aren't being used. Payback, Armageddon,
Havoc.
Halloween Havoc. I love when they do Halloween Havoc. Whenever Shotzi hosted it, that was like one of my favorite pay-per-views I've seen in a long time.
Yeah, because they usually now they just do those on like 2-week events. They make it 2 episodes of NXT. Like, why not make it a one-night PLE?
Yeah, it'd be awesome. And I don't remember if I talked about it on this show or not. We may have, but like, remember back in WCW whenever they would do Road Wild and Hog Wild at Sturgis with the motorcycle guys everywhere, or they do Bash at the Beach, like on the beach. Like, that's something I'd like to see more of. And NXT is in freaking Orlando. Like, they could do beach pay-per-views. They're like right there.
Yep, no, definitely, because there's just a lot of things they could do, and now we have TKO just buying it, so we probably haven't seen most of what they're gonna do with yet. I'm sure they're still thinking over time, and we're gonna see a lot as time goes on. A lot of reverted to old school stuff with Sean running NXT, Triple H running the show, and The Rock owning it. Because they were all working together for years, so they're gonna go back to old school stuff.
It seems like that's what we're seeing a lot of. Is it's been very much like back to basics. The storytelling is way better now than it's been in as long as I can remember, especially on NXT. But like, it seems like everything's getting away from like the Vince stuff, which I mean, WWE is fine, but like anybody will tell you that the Vince era was kind of getting stale. So it's not stale anymore. So it's good.
Just like Bill Belichick, Vince built up WWE hugely, but he lost. He lost his fastball at the end.
Oh,
you got to look at the two of them. He did a bad job at the end, just as Bill did. They're very similar in that regard.
I don't know if in media history that's the first Vince McMahon Bill Belichick reference. Good Lord.
That's just the first thing I think of, because when I was a kid, I loved the stuff he was doing, the stuff he was writing, but towards the end, it wasn't so great. I'd be lying if I said it was good.
Oh man. Yeah, a lot of people, you can kind of trash Vince, but yeah, like Attitude Era stuff, Vince Russo takes a lot of credit for that, but I'm pretty sure Vince McMahon was the brains behind a lot of the Attitude Era stuff.
Yeah, like everyone who says they hate him, like, you gotta remember, WWE would not be where it is today without him and his family either, because his dad owned him, and they actually did shows in Cape Cod here before it took off to be a traveling show.
Yeah. Oh man, Bill Belichick.
Yeah, that's one I don't think I've ever said before. I've always thought
sitting on that one for a minute.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty stoked. It's going to be a good week. So we got NXT here in about 15 minutes. Looking forward to tonight. We'll be very interested to see the ratings stack up afterwards and where that ends up. Oh, Tony Khan, it's gonna. Oh man, if NXT goes over Dynamite, like your flagship show, I don't know what to tell you.
When their TV deal's about to come up too, that's the real punch in the gut. It's not like, oh, we have 2 years to right the ship. They're in the middle of a TV contract right now.
Good God, man, he's gonna bring in Vince Russo.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, just like, I don't know what he's doing over there. Like, not to cover the other brand, but we look on Collision on Saturday night. We have a great match between FTR and the Blackpool Combat Club, and we haven't ended a 20-minute time limit draw. What are we doing?
Yeah, exactly. I mean,
and then Dax Harwood's injured now, I heard, and it's going to be out for a while. Like, what are we doing?
That's, what I honestly had hoped was that it would be like a proper Monday Night War, because I was more into WCW back then, but WWE was hot. Both shows were hot. You could watch either one. I mean, for the old folks, a lot of times what I would do is we had a TV downstairs. So I'd have the TV downstairs on Raw, and I'd have my tape in and I'd record it, and I'd watch Nitro upstairs live. And then after Nitro was over, I'd go downstairs and rewind the tape and watch Raw, because both shows you couldn't miss them. They were can't miss TV. You had hot 97 through 98 Nitro, and then you had WWE in the Attitude Era. You didn't want to miss either one. They were both good. That was what my hope was with AEW, was that both shows would be can't miss TV. And for a while, I mean, AEW was kind of like that in the beginning, because there was some storyline stuff, but like now it's kind of just without storylines and it just being matches. You can watch it whenever you want. You can skip, you can read the recaps, or you can just catch the clip on YouTube of the match you wanted to watch. So that it didn't go the way I hoped it was going to go.
Yeah, they do good pay-per-views too. Don't get me wrong. The pay-per-views are phenomenal. It's just
they're solid.
the weekly shows, just they aren't it usually. You might get a good Dynamite here and there. Rampage is a total waste of time, and Collision's starting to become that too.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think having the back-to-back shows may have been the best idea. Probably could have spaced those out a little bit. I don't know. I just think the way they position their shows on TV could use a different shakeup. But I'm also one who's been saying I think WWE needs a third show on weekends to catch up all the talent that's not on TV. Because I've been saying main event, just make that a 2-hour show, tape before Raw, tape after SmackDown, and then you've got a 2-hour show on the weekends. Just call it WWE Saturday Night, because I'm pretty sure they own that name too.
Yeah, and then look at the thing too. Tony Khan has so many guys signed over there, but you see the same people being featured every week on TV, and there's just so many people that don't get work. Like it just I don't see how it can be a successful business model going forward unless they change their ways.
Eventually they're going to have to make a bunch of cuts. Because you can't operate with a roster as huge as theirs. I'm still scrolling through it right now. I'm just still scrolling.
And the SmackDown Hotel has the real one. AEW.com, they don't put everyone up there to make it look like it's a more refined roster. SmackDown Hotel shows you everyone. It's like, oh my God, they got a lot of people.
SmackDown Hotel has 193 talents listed on the roster. Yep. I just want Danhausen. He's one of my favorite wrestlers. I don't know what they do with him. I just want Danhausen.
I think that'd be awesome. But didn't him and his wife have something happened? Like, wasn't there a miscarriage with their baby, or they had a kid? One of the two, I believe, and that's why he's been out.
Yeah, they had it was like a month ago. There was a miscarriage. Yeah. So unfortunately, I know. Yeah. And he's a good dude. Like you watch his
stuff. Awesome.
Like he's entertaining. Like if you don't know of Danhausen, go look him up on YouTube. His videos are freaking hilarious.
One of the things that I loved is when Jeff Jarrett had the big guitar, and then he brings out the little MIDI guitar and starts. That was even on a Rampage, I think he was doing it, but it was a nice little spot.
I liked his stuff with the Hookhausen stuff too. I mean, it was all good. So I mean, he's someone I'd like to see in NXT. And another one I want to come back is Dustin Rhodes. No, he didn't even have to come back as Goldust. Just come back as Dustin Rhodes. Like I feel like he needs to come home to do the Hall of Fame thing and to have maybe like another run. I think would be cool.
I think that'll depend on if Arn Anderson comes over too. That'll be a big thing because they could play him in with Cody. But the one thing that I think Mark Henry might be coming back is because we saw the AJ Styles thing, like how the pink salmon jacket with Mark Henry. He did his thing with the baby blue and did the same sort of thing, the fake retirement. Maybe that could be some foreshadowing that Mark Henry's going to come back. Not that I don't think he might do one match or something, nothing crazy, but he'll just be on the creative team like Abyss is or something like that.
So I don't know if you listened to the recent Busted Open Radio. Arn Anderson was on there and he talked about WWE. And he said that he's currently 65, but his liver is 127. He doesn't think he has much time left. And he wants to dedicate his remaining time to his son, Brock Anderson, and to get Brock into a position to where he's a valuable asset. And this is where it was interesting.
Oh, that's awesome.
To whatever company uses him. So Brock Anderson, not making any waves where he's at. I could potentially see it being a double deal, Arn and Brock Anderson to WWE.
Without a doubt. I agree with you 100% on
that. So Brock could come over and do the NXT thing, and Arn could be up on the main roster doing stuff with Cody.
Maybe that's what they're announcing tonight on NXT.
Yeah, the fact that he said that whatever company uses him, he didn't say, I want to get him into a position with AEW or New Japan or whatever where he'll be valuable. It's whatever company. So I think there's definitely something there with that one. So I'm looking forward to it. Yeah, go listen to the recent Busted Open Radio. It was a really good. Arn Anderson's a good guy. He's hilarious.
For sure.
So I think that's all we got, unless you got anything else before we wrap up.
No, I think that's about it. Hopefully we'll be doing something between now and Saturday. So
yeah, Friday. We'll have to check in with Jason. Tentatively Friday night for SmackDown would be cool because we could do a pay-per-view preview because Saturday's during the day. So
yeah, it's not till 2 p.m. but which I find a little bit weird because they normally do them at 1. But I was gonna say we should be able to figure something out.
Okay, so stay tuned. Friday night or Saturday morning, we should be back. Ladies and gentlemen, thanks for stopping by and joining us on this Tuesday evening. NXT goes live here in about 10 minutes, so go make sure and tune into that. Cody will be on NXT, which will be very exciting with an announcement. So go and check that out. And of course, this weekend, Clash at the Castle. Make sure you're subscribed to Peacock, and you'll be able to watch that along with the kickoff show live. So thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you either Friday night or Saturday morning.